Hello everyone. Today we are going to talk about our another topic from nervous system, which is the physiology of temperature regulation. It is also called the physiology of thermoregulation. So it is being asked in 5 marks in exams. So again it is important. Body temperature increase with exercise or after meal. That's why you might feel hot after these activities. Generally આપણે જોયું હોય કે when we are eating તો excessive sweating થતું હોય, or at the same time if we are exercising તો sweating at the same time આપણું જે body temperature છે increase થાય. We all have noticed that, right? Body's internal temperature is lowest in early morning and is actually highest late evenings. Temperature homeostasis मतलब ટેમ્પરેચરને ઇક્વિલિબ્રિયમમાં રાખવું, मतलब જેનું નોર્મલ ટેમ્પરેચર હોય એ ટેમ્પરેચર જળવાઈ રહે. That is called temperature homeostasis. Temperature homeostasis within the body is the balance between heat input and heat output. If one of the other is compromised, one can feel the symptoms of cold or hot within the body. मतलब જે ટેમ્પરેચર હોમિયોસ્ટેસિસ છે એ બે મિકેનિઝમ પર કામ કરતું હોય જનરલી. ફર્સ્ટ ઇઝ અ હીટ ઇનપુટ and other is a heat output. Now we'll see what is heat input and output is. First we'll see what heat input is. So this heat input can come from two ways. One way is heat produced inside the body internally. Examples of increased heat is after you eat, the metabolic process, and also when you contract your muscles. And the other heat input is from outside, which is external. It is conduction or radiation. Here conduction is basically heat from hot object touching your body, such as hand touching the hot water. And radiation is essentially caused from the radiation which every object emit. Obviously it's very minute heat. On the other side of the scale, heat output or heat loss from the body comes in four ways: conduction, convection, radiation, and evaporation. We'll see every things in brief now. First we'll see what conduction is. So conduction is the transfer of heat by two objects that are in direct contact with one another. It occurs when the skin comes in contact with cold or warm object. For example, when holding a glass of ice water, the heat from your skin will warm the glass and in turn melt the ice. Alternatively, on the cold day, you might warm up by wrapping your cold hands around the hot mug of coffee. And only about 3% of the body's heat is lost through this conduction. Now we'll see the convection or convection process. Convection is the transfer of heat to the air surrounding the skin. The warm air rises away from the body and is replaced by the cooler air that is subsequently heated. Convection can also occur in water. When the water temperature is lower than the body's temperature, the body loses heat by warming the water closest to the skin, which moves away to be replaced by the cooler water. The convection currents created by the temperature changes continue to draw heat away from the body more quickly than the body can replace it, resulting in hypothermia. About 50% of the body's heat is lost through convection. Now we'll talk about radiation. Radiation is the transfer of heat via infrared waves. This occurs between any two objects when their temperature differ. A radiator can warm a room via radiant heat. On a sunny day, the radiation from the sun warms the skin. The same principle works from the body to the environment, and about 60% of the heat lost by the body is lost through radiation. Now we'll see evaporation. Evaporation is the transfer of heat by the evaporation of water. Because it takes a great deal of energy for a water molecule to change from a liquid to a gas, evaporating vapor in the form of sweat takes with it a great deal of energy from the skin. However, the rate at which evaporation occurs depend on relative humidity. More sweat evaporates in lower humidity environments. Sweating is a primary means of cooling the body during exercise, whereas as a result, about 20% of the heat lost by the body occurs through the evaporation. Through these four processes, the inside of the body is warmer than the outside. Now, the body's internal temperature is easily maintained without any mechanism if the temperature of the outside is between 27.8 to 30 degrees Celsius. And this environmental temperature between 27.8 to 30 degrees Celsius is known as the thermoneutral zone. Because it is neutral for the body, so the internal body temperature can be controlled by the thermoneutral zone. But if the out temperature is higher than this zone, such as 40 degrees Celsius, there is obviously more heat being produced, that heat being lost within the body. So there is a rise in the internal body temperature. And same goes if the temperature is so much lower than the thermoneutral zone, it will cause more heat lost and no heat production. Therefore, it causes decrease in body temperature. But even if there is a case for both the situation, the body tries to keep the internal temperature constant by homeostasis. A naked person can keep his or her internal body temperature relatively okay for some time, even if the outside is between 10 to 55 degrees Celsius. And the process as how the body tries to keep the internal body temperature balanced is called the thermoregulation. Very cold weather is psychologically challenging to humans to adapt a cold environment. Humans are basically tropical mammals, but through evolution we have been able to learn to adapt to challenging temperatures. Thermoregulation mechanism is controlled by the thermoregulatory centers situated in the hypothalamus of the brain, and it tries to keep the internal temperature balanced. Now, in the hypothalamus area having thermoreceptors which detect changes inside the body, and these thermoreceptors in skin which detects changes of outside temperature. Thermoreceptors on skin are known as the peripheral receptors, and internal receptor in hypothalamus is known as the central receptors. So let's take the example of thermoregulation, how it works. See, if the peripheral thermoreceptor center changes in temperature, it will send the signal to the thermoregulatory center. The information will then get processed and an appropriate response will be sent to the body to keep the internal temperature stable. This is autonomous response. Now, depending on what the initial stimulation is from, the thermoregulatory center response can be either responding to cold weather, which means it will try to retain the heat, or it can be responding to hot weather, which means it needs to lose heat to keep internal body temperature in equilibrium. The mechanism of how to lose heat if the body is responding to a rising temperature is by dilating blood vessels, which is also known as vasodilation. And another response is by sweating. And if the body is responding to cold, the body will shiver or use non-shivering mechanisms such as stored fat. Shivering increases aerobic respiration in muscles, releasing heat. In addition, thyroid hormone will stimulate more energy use and heat production by cells throughout the body. In skin, there is cutaneous blood vessels. Actually, the blood vessels can work in two ways. They retain heat, so less heat is lost, and conserving the heat, or it can release heat. That is heat loss. If there is cold temperature, the thermoregulatory center stimulated, which will then cause vasoconstriction, which will then retain heat. So that's heat loss, which means a warmer body. In hot environment, it will stimulate thermoregulatory center, which will cause vasodilatation, which will increase blood flow around the body. In skin, causing an increase in heat loss. Now the another way of heat loss is sweating. Skin contains many sweat glands which secrete sweat, and when sweat evaporates, it carries heat out with it. The autonomic response to cold environment where body tries to produce heat or retain heat can be divided into unregulated heat production, which is for example from muscle contraction, or the regulated heat production, which is basically the shivering thermogenesis or non-shivering thermogenesis. The shivering thermogenesis is caused by skeletal muscle tremors, which is called shivering, and the non-shivering thermogenesis is formed from brown fat in the body, which may cause the heat retention. So this is basically the whole process of thermoregulation, which can be understood by this particular figure. See, if we are starting from this point where the temperature homeostasis is there, then there is a point where body temperature is low. Then temperature regulate receptors in hypothalamus stimulate heat producing mechanism, which in turn creates superficial arteries are constricted, reducing heat loss to the air, and blood flow to the digestive system decreases. At the same time, shivering increases aerobic respiration in the muscles, releasing heat. And at the same time, thyroid stimulates the cells to increase metabolic heat production. In turn, it creates body temperature increases. And at the same way, if the body temperature is high, it creates temperature receptor initiate heat releasing mechanisms, and because of that, superficial arteries are dilated, causing the flushing and increasing heat loss to air. Blood flow is not diverted away from the digestive system. At the same time, sweating initiated in skin, and thyroid stimulates cells to decrease metabolic heat production, and which creates a decrease in the body temperature. So this is the whole process how the thermoregulation is being done. And yeah, this was it. I sent the PPT to you, and if you are having any query regarding this, let me know. This is a very basic and easy thing to understand. So thank you.